New York Half-Ass Prepper here. Today we're taking a look at the Berthier. This is a 1907/15 Berthier. This one is manufactured by armory over there called Saint Etienne, which is the anglicization of Saint Etienne, however the French people would pronounce it. This is a World War I vintage rifle. Picked it up recently at an auction local to me, and I'm a sucker for all of these Milsurp wood stock rifles out there, and I've been on a kick lately buying some Mausers and some other stuff of the era. So this is a this rifle's chambered in 8mm Lebel, or 8x56. This is what the round looks like. It's a little stubby, fat stubby round. If I can get this to focus properly. And it's got a nice big fat rim on it. And to put it in perspective, that's next to a 30-06. And that's what the Americans brought over to World War I. This one was manufactured in 1915. It's an early example. I could tell that by this bent bolt handle, because later on, the second generation of this model, they made the bolt handle straight. It takes 3-round end block style stripper clips that go into the action, and it's Mannlicher style, so they pop out at the bottom. It poops them out, kind of just like a Carcano and the Mannlicher style rifles. And typical of all the rifles of the period, it has these ladder sights. It's a combination ladder and tangent sights, because you can adjust this. And they put a lot of effort into these sights back then, because that's all they had, And I guess we still do, because now we have the ACOGs and stuff. They spend a lot of money on those. But actually, interesting enough, I learned on another YouTube video that the sights are supposed to be used in that position, because here's your rear notch, which is kind of cool to know that. And this goomazigam on the end here is the stacking swivel, and that's to make those little tripods that you see in the war movies, those old Napoleon movies and stuff. They stack 3 rifles together. That's called stacking rifles. They make the tripod to protect the rifles. So I'll show you another cool feature of this particular example that I came across, and I'll explain it in a minute. I gotta cut the tape here. Okay, I got this piece of the stock off of the rifle. Remove the front and the rear barrel bands. And it looks like at first glance it's like a 2-piece stock, or the stock broke or something, it's buggered up. But if you look at it, it was cut intentionally like this. I did this little glue repair on here. I'm trying to fix this little piece. I got to sand that down and blend that in somewhat, but I just want to get that piece back on there before it got too buggered up. And then the corresponding side on this side was chopped, and it looks like it got buggered up a little bit here. I'm going to fill that in. But anyway, why would you buy a rifle with a broken stock like that? And the answer is, this was cut intentionally. This is what's called a duffle cut. And it's called that because the GIs in World War II predominantly were bringing these back from the theater. And in order for these rifles to fit into their duffel bags or their footlockers, they had to cut the stocks. And they cut them right here under the barrel band, so when they repaired it, they could hide the repair. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to repair this, glue it all back together with some brass studs in there, and nobody will be the wiser. Now, that duffel cut suggests that it's a vet bring back. It almost kind of forces the issue, because nobody would, in their right mind, would cut up a rifle like this for any other reason. So also suggests that this particular example hasn't been fired since it was in Europe, because I mean, maybe the guy fired it without the piece of stock on there once or twice, but to get any significant amount of use out of it, you have to have a complete stock to get any kind of results. So that's kind of a neat feature. So whenever you see these duffel cuts, they named it that so it could fit in the duffel bag. I've seen them in Foot Lockers and some other mailing parcels, and I don't have the paper or the provenance to prove that, but that's what this cut suggests, which is kind of neat. Kind of neat piece of history here. So other than that, it's a standard rifle of the era. They copied the Mausers, Carcanos, all basically the same rifle. There's little nuances in the designs, how the clips loaded and the sights and all of that. But basically, it works the same way. It's a bolt action rifle. You put the bolts in there, and the bullets in there. In this case, it's a clip, and away you go. This rifle used a 3-round clip, which, you know, typical French, was not adequate. You know, guys got out there in no man's land and said, hey, we need more rounds. So they eventually modified a lot of these rifles to accept the 5-round clip, and you'll see like a extension coming off the receiver on those examples. So this is, I have not cleaned this up yet. I have not had this out of the stock to even clean the barrel or even take a look in there or anything. I was doing a little research on this duffel cut and the actual model and everything. So here's a good look at the Berthier World War I vintage rifle. This was used pretty extensively by the French. They had some other rifles. They had the Lebel at the time and a couple different other oddball ones, and then this went through a couple of different versions. Was upgraded and stuff over the years, but eventually France came out on the winning side of World War I. They did fairly well. They fielded a lot of troops and stuff, and they learned a lot. In the beginning, they were out there with their red trousers. They marched into battle with their red trousers and their sabers in the early days of World War I, and that didn't work out so well. So then they came out with the updated uniforms that were a little more tactical, a little better color, so on. And they came out with the French were actually the first to come out with the combat helmet, with the Adrian helmet, which is their contribution to modern warfare. But anyway, here we go. This is the Berthier, and I'll do another video after I get it all cleaned up and restored as best that I can, and maybe we'll even take it out and shoot it. So that's it. I'm out.